Finals, and they had royalty out there. Dwayne Wade in Wade County was at the game, waving to the crowd. Let's pick this one up in the second quarter. Nuggets are up 1 at this point. Jokic handing it off to Murray. Murray for 3. Take all 3 of those. Nuggets led 41-37. Later in the quarter, game tied up at 43. Watch the follow dunk by Bam Adebayo. You're thinking, okay, now he came to play.
The Bam Slam. Isn't that what Mike Breen said?
Oh, it was
the Bam Slam.
Heat led by 2. Suing Nuggets possession, though. They kick it to Murray. Have all 3 of those. Jokic had 14 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists in the first half. Let's get to the third. Nuggets up 9. Murray driving, spinning. He's like, you know what? I'll just clean up my own mess.
Is it offensive rebounding, extra effort, extra possessions? That was the key for the Nuggets, and also making sure they closed this quarter strong.
Yeah, they extended their lead to 13 at this point. And here in the third, Butler's pass, though. How about Christian Brown? 15 points, 7 of 8 from the field off the bench. And then Mike Malone just prepping his Nuggets to close this thing out in the fourth quarter. Listen.
They won the fourth quarter. Tonight, we win the fourth quarter. We win the game.
There is no tomorrow.
I mean, he went Herb Brooks, right? He went Herb Brooks.
How about this? Handing it off to one another. That was like the story of the game. Jokic and Jamal Murray, because they just went crazy. Murray was 12 of 22 from the field. And what a game by the big man. Look at this scoring, driving. He had a triple-double, 32, 21, and 10. Murray, 34, 10, and 10 assists. Nuggets win Game 3, 109-94. Here's Lisa Salters with the Joker.
You are the first person in NBA history to have a 30, 20, 10 NBA Finals game. What does that mean to you?
I mean, to be honest, not much.
I figured you were going to say that.
But yes, I'm just glad that we won a game. It was a big one for us, just because they won in our arena. So we just didn't want to go down 2-1.
Listen, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray became the first pair of teammates, folks, with 30-point triple-doubles in the same game in NBA history. Regular season and playoffs. They are also the first duo to each have triple-doubles in an NBA Finals game, and I'm talking all time. So with that said here, Alan, you said Game 3 was a must-win.
Yeah.
You said for the Nuggets. Then put in perspective what Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic did.
Well, they felt the way I felt. You could tell by the way they played. They treated this game just like I said they should yesterday, and that was treat this like a must-win in attack mode from the start. An Avengers-like performance by this dynamic duo, and they saved the day for Denver because they did not want to go down 2-1. And in fact, when you really look at this as a whole, you start to wonder, did they give away Game 2 in that fourth quarter? You heard Michael Malone in the huddle. You heard him talking about it like you were saying, there is no tomorrow. They were letting them know, we got to win this game tonight. We got to close it out and take back control of this series. And you know what? This is what you want out of your stars. It was not an elimination game, but it sure felt like one. It sure felt like a moment of truth for this team. And CJ, when we talk to stars, when media and fans say this stuff, show up. You got to step up. And you're like, what do you want from us? That's what you want. Your best players playing their best when it matters most.
So why was the two-man game between Jokic and Murray just so effective last night?
I think 2 factors. The intentionality of the fact that they were getting pick and roll after pick and roll after pick and roll with spacing, and then the aggressiveness of Jamal Murray and Joker. Joker didn't feel his way into the game. Jamal didn't feel his way into the game. It took 3-pointers early and often. They got into the paint. They made sure that their teammates understood what was at stake and that they would get touches. Look at both stars, right? Over 20 shots apiece. You look at the Miami Heat, both stars, over 20 shots apiece. There was a huge sense of urgency on this game. It's just that Denver Stars played better and had a historic performance. 2 30-point triple-doubles. You can't lose when your best players play like that.
Yeah, Wendy, listen, you were at the game. What stood out to you about the Nuggets' performance, especially Jokic and Murray?
Yeah, so obviously CJ just talked about it there. Let me frame it. There was no game this year where Jokic set more screens for Murray than he set last night. 15 different times, guys, they ran a dribble handoff to get Murray open off a Jokic play. What I mean by that is in Game 2, Jamal Murray got the ball taken out of his hands. The Heat wouldn't let him get it. So they ran a play that you can't stop. The ball has to get to Jamal Murray on a dribble handoff. 15 times they called that play in. Michael Malone leaned in to his two best players and said, win us this game. I'm going to put it in your hands, and they did. And I also felt that they really responded on the defensive end. Nikola Jokic had obviously an incredible offensive performance, one for the ages. But I'm here to tell you it was one of the best defensive games he ever played, defending the rim, moving his body, getting outside to inside. The Heat were 3 of 19 shooting when Jokic was the primary defender on the ball. That was a brilliant performance at both ends. They knew it. The Heat had won in the previous 3 series. They killed the opposition in Game 3. The Nuggets were very aware of that. They knew this is when the Heat usually take control of the series. They didn't let it happen.
Hey, Wendy, we had talked a lot about which one is the snake, the head of the snake. Is it Jokic? Is it Murray? Whose triple-double you think was more important? Was it Jokic or was it Murray's?
Well, look, I'm not taking a single scintilla away from Jokic, but this was a game about getting Jamal Murray going. They really wanted to establish him. That was the Heat's key. We spent so much time talking about Jokic and, scorer versus passer. What the Heat really were focusing on was Murray. They can't really stop Jokic, in all honesty. They limited Murray's touches and limited Murray's effectiveness in Game 2. You could tell 3 of the first 4 possessions, Murray got a shot. This was really about getting Jamal Murray going. He scores 20 in the first half. Jokic is a freight train. You put it together. I'm not sure you're touching him. Especially over the course of a long series, and that's what we saw last night.
After Game 2, you had Nuggets head coach Michael Malone. You remember, he questioned his team's effort. Well, last night, here's Heat star Jimmy Butler on his squad. Take a listen to this.
I feel like we just got to come out with more energy and effort, and that's correctable. That's on us as a group. No X's and O's can fix that. It just can't happen. It won't happen again. It starts with myself.
This is the NBA Finals, CJ. Why are we even having a discussion about lack of effort?
It's not that they didn't play hard. It's the fact that it didn't look like a Miami Heat branded team. Hustle points, loose balls, turnovers, transition baskets. They didn't get those things last night, and I think it showed. Denver got out-hustled and outplayed in Game 2, especially in the fourth quarter. In this game throughout, I felt like Jimmy Butler is upset with the fact that Jamal Murray was comfortable. He got 15 handoffs to where no one was fighting over the handoff and putting their hand in there and trying to deflect it. They were comfortable. He's walking into three-pointers. They want to make sure that the Denver Nuggets feel them defensively, and last night they didn't feel them. And I think for Jimmy, it's about the aggression, it's about the attitude, and it's about them performing as if this is a must-win, because in their eyes, going down 3-1 is the series. So they have to make sure they come out better with more intensity and make sure that they make it difficult on Jamal, because the game was very easy for him last night.
Alan, people are going to say after watching last night, was Game 2 a mirage? Was that just a mirage, what we saw out of the Miami Heat up in Denver?
You can now look back and think that did the Heat steal Game 2? Did the Nuggets give away Game 2? But no offense, CJ, that's player speak. I'm not buying any of that, because it really, if you think about it, Denver has to credit Miami, because it took the Heat to get the Denver Nuggets to get to that point where they had to get, to play as hard as they had to play to win. Miami's been doing this the whole playoffs. You know what they've been doing? They've been forcing the opponent to play their best. You're not beating us without your best. So if you come in and you kind of half-step, you're not winning this thing. And the Celtics learned it, the Knicks learned it, and certainly the Bucks learned it. And then the Denver Nuggets learned it in Game 2, that they have to make sure they take it all the way to the end. You can't just all of a sudden have a little lapse in the fourth quarter. That game will come away. So the Denver Nuggets can thank the Heat for letting them know just how hard they got to play to win this thing. But let's also take a look. You're going to be demoralized if you're the Heat, because what Denver did was go into the heart of your defense and gut your defense by scoring 60 points in the paint. 4th most points in the paint scored in an NBA Finals game in the last 25 years. And it wasn't just Jokic. Jamal Murray was getting in the paint. Jamal Murray, 14 of his 34 points were in the paint. 7 more at the free throw line because he was playing aggressive. That's how you demoralize a team and make them think we're not working hard enough.
Hey, Wendy, it seemed like, especially after, that Game 2, we're giving a lot of credit to Spo. Like, Spo is out coaching Michael Malone. But how much does Michael Malone deserve credit by the performance he got out of his Denver Nuggets last night?
Years. This was the finest coaching I've ever seen him do over the last 3 days. He understands that in his locker room, he's got to be the bad cop. It's not something that Jokic and Murray do. His veteran voices don't really play big roles. It's not their MO. So he broke them down after game 2, called them out publicly, and then he built them back up. He had this film session, the day before game 3, and you kept hearing him say that he showed 17 clips of their lack of discipline on defense. Well, I found out why he showed 17. He showed 17 because he had each player on the team, even the two-way guys, the guys who can't even play in the playoffs, take each clip and explain to the team where they went wrong. So he broke them down, and then he started building them up. We saw him with his arm around Jamal Murray at practice, before Game 3, pumping him back up. Then they showed last night on the ABC broadcast his speech before the game, pumping them back up. It worked perfectly. He set them up perfectly. This was Mike Malone's finest moment in getting this performance from his team.
Yeah, listen, we got a lot more to discuss here about the NBA Finals in this hour, but we got to get to